Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC, and today is not Marvel, nor is it DC. Dan and I are going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, as I have started a new series in which I will force Dan to watch classic horror movies and either make him a horror buff or like terrified of life.
or you know what? Maybe I'll somehow finally be able to handle horror things and just not be bothered as much.
I don't think it's going to happen. This is why this is going to be great. So if you guys like this, let me know down below what other movies Dan should watch, because we're putting it in your hands. But I wanted to kick this off with one of my all-time favorite classics. Nightmare on Elm Street. The original, not the remakes. Because it's the campiness that makes those 80s ones so good. So,
I mean, there were multiple things that made it better. Because I did see the first, like, half of the new one. And
yeah, I saw you watch that by mistake. Because I was like, who watched? Oh, Dan watched it. I guarantee.
Yeah. I definitely watched the wrong one, which not very scary, the new one. The new one is more of a slasher film than anything, which is its own thing. I fell asleep. I legitimately
worst movie ever to fall asleep during.
I fell asleep during both. Just a small bit. I did wake up.
Was it because Freddy was scaring you?
Marks.
Yeah, that was good.
No, I think so overall, I actually thought it was a pretty solid movie. I thought it was actually really good. The original, I can see why the original was scary in its time. I can see why it would be scary, and I know why it was not scary for me, and why I was able to fall asleep during it.
I think we're desensitized. That's why the 80s movies can't be considered. They can't be considered like so scary.
We're desensitized as well as spoofs. Because the entire time I was like, oh, this is the exact scene from the Rick and Morty one with Scary Terry. And I recognized it like exactly, like every single thing. I was like, oh, this is where they got that from. Oh, this is why it's a weird boiler room and why it's the exact same boiler room every single time, because they only had one set.
Yeah. I just love that I make you watch Nightmare on Elm Street and you're like, so Scary Terry.
Well, it was also like a kind of a, wow, bravo, that all of these different spoofs have been so accurate to what the actual movie was. Like in and of itself, though, it was really good. And like the 80s movie still kind of holds up pretty well.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
It's not like, I can't think of a good example off the top of my head, but it's not like some of those movies where when you do go back, you're like, oh wow, I can see. Yeah, no, this is just bad. Like Diamond on Elm Street, it's more of just like a, well, I mean, this is the time period. That one's forgivable, but like this is actually really good. Like,
yeah, the practical effects that they use in the original Nightmare on Elm Street are incredible, considering like what they had to work with at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. What did you think about the overall plot of not knowing who's awake and who's asleep? Like that is what always got me with the original, because they set the rules early on. You're like, okay, Freddy can only get you if you're asleep.
Right.
And then people just keep accidentally falling asleep.
Yes, I did actually like that, because it also makes you kind of start watching and you're like, wait. I know they're going to be falling asleep, but where's that moment?
Right. You start like, oh, is he asleep now? Would that have happened in real life? And they're very good at keeping the dream state separate from the real world, because it's good until that one thing happens and you're like, dream, somebody wake him up.
It almost kind of gives you that you need that. What's that like? It's kind of like how when they teach you to lucid dream, it's like the red ball. When you see the red ball, you know you're asleep, because there were multiple moments in the movie where I was like, wait a second. Can he be in their daydreams as well? And I was like sold for a second there. I'm like, okay, this is going to be crazy if he can do that. And then I was like, no. They're clearly falling asleep in class. But It's hard to like fully say it properly because it really was hard to tell when they fall asleep, when they don't. But it kind of made it a fun game to be like, is it all a dream? Like part of me was kind of like, is like the mom gonna wake up and it turns out she never had kids after all? Like there's some weird massive plot twist. I thought it was good though. Like I wasn't expecting to enjoy it.
I know you. When I told you I had to watch it, you definitely gave me that look. Like, is this like a joke, or do I really have to watch that?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to, and I don't know if I wasn't as scared as I thought, or if it was because I've seen so many spoofs or spins on it and stuff like that. But I actually really liked it because I was able to enjoy it. And I felt like the lack of jump scares also made it a lot scarier than other films.
A lot of classic, I mean, if slasher flick is known for its jump scares, but a lot of the horror that I like is more the atmospheric horror. Because jump scares are cheap. Anybody can get a jump scare. It doesn't matter who you are. And at least for me, I just get mad more than I get scared. I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't care. Ooh, spooky. It's not spooky. You jump scared me. Atmospheric is so much harder to achieve. To give you a true spooky feeling. And like, because it not like the jump scare is going to happen. But I'm talking like, I'm just actually creeped out and I know they're not going to jump scare me. What's about to happen? Like
that's actually the biggest difference between the original and the new one. I'm not sure if you've seen the new one, but I think
I saw when it came out, but I don't remember it at all.
The new one was too much and too direct. There was no kind of let you like steep in the fear and like be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It was just more of all right, so when's he going to start cutting open this new person? Like, there was no buildup. There was no suspense or anything like that. And I think that's why the original was so much better, was because I wasn't just sitting there going, okay, so, he's killed this person. We're going to, okay, now he's killing this person. Okay, so now, so we're killing this person now. Okay, no, like, because in the new one, it's almost like the person behind the camera was like, all right, we got 30 seconds. Ready, Krueger, go. And it's like a race to do it or something like that. It just felt very impatient.
The best part about the more 80s horror movies, though, is they also tried to put a lot more of like actual plot into it as opposed to like,
that too.
Freddy's here and Freddy's going to kill. Like the whole plot of like no one believes Freddy's real. Like people are dying and then there's other kids getting accused and we're all trying to deal with it and figure it all out. And like that doesn't exist in more modern day horror slasher flicks. Like, because if I remember correctly, I think it was 2017 or 2018, but that one was he really just go from one kid to the next, murdering them all off.
Yes. It starts off with Freddy killing someone very, very gruesomely, and then there's like no real build or anything. It just goes into him killing the next person super gruesomely. And it was almost like okay, how violent can we do this? Like,
right.
It was... It's like they thought that the fear was going to be there just because they took the name Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, they did. I mean, they were just trying to resell that.
Exactly.
So, okay.
It's almost like making a Young Justice Phantoms or something and assuming you'll get... I mean, what? Anyway.
Okay, so this is your first experience into what I've now officially dubbed Making Dan Experience Classic Horror. This is your first classic horror monster. Give me on a 1 to 10 scale, Freddy Krueger.
1 being not scary, 10 being super scary.
Yeah, we'll go to scary scale because
probably like a 7 or 8, I would say, because this was one that luckily, if you don't know me, I'm really weird when it comes to horror stuff, and if there's a level of detachment that I am able to draw, I am okay. My level of detachment is I don't live on Elm Street. I'm fine. There's no Freddy Krueger. I don't have to worry about my parents having killed this guy for being a pedophile. I don't remember what he actually did.
Elm Street is to us.
But shut the hell up. I know there's an Elm Street because every city has different tree streets.
7 minutes away.
Anyway, my point being, I was lucky enough to have that level of detachment. I tell Benny, I tell everyone this. If I do something and it's like just simply like The Ring, for example, where if I were to watch the video, I'm now connected. But if I don't watch the video, I'm fine. So that's why this one I didn't get too connected to it, but I definitely will say it's pretty freaking horrifying to have your dreams be the place that you can get killed and have this person find you, as well as the fact that the violence and the injuries you sustain in the dreams happen to you in real life. And the reason why that horror factor, I put it in the 7 or 8, is because everyone has grown up with if you're dreaming, you can pinch yourself and you'll wake up. So the idea of that being gone to this extent is kind of terrifying. Like it's like you can't, it's just straight up terrifying. And I am also very appreciative of the whole Scary Terry thing in Rick and Morty, because the mixing of Freddy Krueger with the idea of Inception is even more horrifying to me. But yes, overall 7 or 8. If I lived on Elm Street, I probably would not have been able to sleep after this film, though, because I would be looking on Redfin to try and figure out where a new house is to move to.
Okay, so I'm going to go Airbnb for Elm Street, and Dan's going to spend the night over there.
And Huey's going to show up in his Freddy Krueger hoodie.
That'd be great. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know down below other movies that Dan should watch. I'm going to pick out another one that we're going to talk about next week, but would love to get your opinions as well. Thank you for watching Absolutely Marvel and DC. Join the Absolute Army by pressing subscribe, smashing that like button, and we'll see you next time right here.